Over the weekend, I got a lot of messages about those who got surprise access to the New World Aeternum beta, as it seems to have launched or perhaps leaked a little bit early, and they were actually able to play it before it got shut down. The good news is that if you missed this accidental weekend, the real beta kicks off this week on Friday the 13th, so not too much longer now. Now, I'm really excited about the release of New Aeternum for many reasons. The first of which is I really do actually enjoy this game. I thought I'd make this video really talking about the 7 reasons why I think you should play New World Aeternum and the 3 reasons why you shouldn't. So hello everyone and welcome to another New World video. If you enjoy New World or MMORPGs, this is what you can expect from this channel. This is what this channel is all about. And if you end up enjoying the content here, and if I earn your sub, sound off in the comments below so I can welcome you just like these 2 all-stars, Lane the Bot and Primus Z. Sounding off in the comments. Welcome in, guys, and for those of you who are new around here, thank you so much for checking out this video, and for those of you who are subscribed, thanks so much for coming back as well. I do really want to thank everybody for the opportunity to have these discussions with you guys, but all that being said, let's get into it. Number 1 is instantly apparent when you step into the world of Aeternum, and it's the visuals. The visuals of this game immerse you, the player, in them completely. And this is also because some elements of the UI are minimalist, meaning the world truly is the center of attention. The true character, I think, in this game is the island of Aeternum itself, and the visuals make that happen. Now, visuals don't mean anything if the gameplay isn't good, but they can really truly elevate the game's experience by having some of the best visuals on the market today. In fact, that is one of the things that sets New World apart from, I think, the majority of MMORPGs and action RPGs out there. There are obvious exceptions, but when you look at the top tier, highest played MMORPGs, well, they're all on the older side. So New World has a clear, distinct advantage when it comes to the visuals, and you're going to feel that whether you're playing on console or whether you're playing on PC. This is further enhanced by the second reason here, and it's the sound design. So not only does the game look beautiful, but the sound brings everything together. If you have the opportunity to play this game with headphones, do so, because it will immerse you into the world. But even if you don't have headphones, you're going to hear and feel the sound of the axe hitting the tree. You're going to hear and feel the sound of the pick hitting the rock or the ore. And it's those moments that truly make this game feel alive. Combining this all together while you're out playing, you'll hear others hitting various different things, and it will make you feel, even if you're not actively working together, connected. This also then gets extended to voice acting and the music in this game. I honestly think that Amazon has spared no expense when it comes to both the visuals and sound designs. There's some knock-on effects, and we'll talk about that in one of the reasons why maybe you want to skip this game overall. And this brings me to my 3rd reason. It's an action RPG. When you look at the landscape of MMOs, the action RPG MMO is few and far between, and I don't think I've seen or played one that does everything so well together. But it also, in this case, has PvP, and I'm combining the action RPG and PvP segment here because it is also optional PvP. You have various different modes that if you want to PvP, you can do so. And I think PvP is a really good offering, both for those who want it, but also while you wait for more PvE content to drop. It isn't any breaking news that the PvE players severely outnumber PvP players, and that's why you see 100% focused PvP MMOs struggle. But I think PvP is an important aspect that does hold players over month, and that helps drive a big part of the community. And it's that action RPG, both with the PvE and with the PvP, that truly, I think, set this game apart from the older MMOs out there. Not just with the visuals, not just with the sound design, but with how the game plays. And I think that's a very important thing that you should be aware of. Number 4 is I call this game a sand park. That is a sandbox MMO and a theme park MMO join together. We talked a little bit about PvP in the last segment here, and what that does mean is that even if you're not actively participating in a war, you're still having some level of effect, because this game does have a player-driven economy. It does have the ability for players to trade. It does have these communications, and obviously this does mean that having a community and people to play with can help extend the fun of the game itself. It isn't the be-all end-all, but it's something that really helps whenever you're waiting for new content to drop. Theme parks are easily understandable. They're the language of the MMO. If you think about MMORPGs being a language, they are the English language when it's all said and done. People immediately understand quests, they understand how to sit down and play the game, they understand various different loot grinds. Sandbox requires more player-driven direction, and it gives you more freedom to do so, and New World combines these two together. And this brings me to my fifth point here. Dollar per hour of joy. Most of the people who actually hate on New World have thousands of hours in the game, and they will push back on new players who say they're having fun. Oh, just wait till you've put in 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours, and you won't be saying the same thing. Well, yeah, like what game could you put 1,000 hours into? And on that 1,000th hour, you're like, yep, this is just as good as hour one. Maybe they exist, but maybe I just haven't found them yet. If you know of a game that's like that for you, sound off below. I'd be very curious to see if we align, or if there's just a game that's escaping my imagination right now. But then when you put it all together in terms of math, if you do put 1,000 hours into New World Aeternum and it cost you $40 or $60, depending on what version that you purchased, that's a heck of a return on value, especially when you don't have a monthly sub, especially when you don't have to participate in any of the additional monetization methods that the game has, namely its battle pass or its cosmetic shop. I think New World still to this day, with some exceptions, especially when it comes to the battle pass and that FOMO that these games tend to introduce, and FOMO, for those of you who aren't keeping score at home, is the fear of missing out. It's that artificial sense that you have to be playing the game that I don't think these games actually need. I think they actually work against it. But that being said, I think that from a dollar per hour of joy, it is very clear to see that you can have an incredible experience, and if you're not having fun, you can set the game down and you're not going to be punished when you return to the game at some point in the future. And that brings me to number 6. This isn't so much for returning players, but new players are going to have a streamlined approach. There's some benefits here, namely crossplay. There isn't cross progression, which I think is a kind of a weakness of this release, but with crossplay, it means that you and your friends can play together. There appears to be dedicated servers that are going to be just console exclusive servers, which is a thing. You can choose to go to that. You're not going to be forced to go to that. New players can join legacy servers. Legacy players can start characters on these different servers. And if you want to play on console with console players and not have to worry about PC players, it's an option for you. We'll have to see what happens over the long run, because the game also internally supports cross-region, cross-world matchmaking, which is a huge win. So the streamlined approach with matchmaking, with crossplay, with consoles does all add up to a much more easy to get into experience than some of the older MMOs out there. The other thing you also have is with controller support, you have class selection. This is for the new players out there. This does not mean that your builds are limited. You still can step into the sandbox. You can still make whatever build that you want to build, how crazy you want to build it, chase after that perfect roll of whatever item. But when you start the game, you're presented with several different builds, which makes it easy so you can get into the weapon that you want to without having to rely on RNG or finding the weapon out in the open world. I think that's a brilliant approach, especially for players who are brand new, who know nothing about this game. And that brings me to the number 7 reason why you should check out New World Aeternum, the story. Honestly, I think it's a really interesting story. Amazon has invested heavily into the story of this game. That's cutscenes, voice acting, and all of it combined. And honestly, they still let you, the player, drive and choose what you want and what kind of experience that you want. Meaning, if you want to play this game kind of as a standalone RPG with a little bit of multiplayer, you can do so. You're not going to be forced to participate in the multiplayer. But this is where I get excited, because this goes back to the Sand Park, is that there's an asynchronous multiplayer that's happening all the time. So even if you're a strictly solo player and you're just there to experience the story and the world, you're still participating in the economy. You're still killing monsters and having an effect. There is a big investment into the open world nature of this game. And like that, there's also the ability to get into content quickly through matchmaking if you choose, and that's something that you want to do. But now that brings us to 3 potential reasons why you perhaps want to skip New World Aeternum. First, New World Aeternum isn't actually about October. Until we have a roadmap to go off of, I don't know yet what follows the October update. Are they going to give us an expansion every year like ESO? And there's been some hints about that. As the hype dies down, as hype will die down, what do we tell players to look forward to? And as a content creator who focuses in on MMOs and talks a lot about New World, it would be immensely helpful, even if we don't know what's in the expansion, to say, hey, October 2025, there's going to be an expansion. And between then, here's kind of the seasonal update milestones and what they're going to be working on adding in. Are we getting new weapons? Are we doing this? What's the plan here? Those are things that can get a lot of people excited. And we know there are other weapons that are being worked on. We know there are things that are being worked on, but it would really help to kind of have at least a rough estimate. Now, that being said, it would be even better if they also said October 2026. There's also going to be an expansion. So that way, again, when that hype dies down, when the inevitable this game is dead, conversation happens online around online games that don't have world-shattering number of populations stick with them for an insane amount of time. So when games aren't the exception, they are the rule in this case. Yeah, it would help to be like, yeah, there's going to be an update. And ESO has done that without putting out a roadmap. They just have consistently released expansions. So I think, though, that New World has to communicate that right out the gate. Now, after October 2026, if they want to say, and then from there, we're going to just keep you guys up to date at that point, that's perfectly fine. They have committed to a 10-year plan, and it's very important for them and any games as a service game that they plan to launch that they stick with that commitment. And so New World, I don't think, is going away unless for some reason Amazon just wants to ruin every amount of goodwill that they have for any of their future games. This brings me perfectly to the second issue of the game, and that's the trust. AGS has bungled the marketing behind New World Aeternum to its veteran players. I think what they did at the Summer Games Fest was the right call for new players. But before then, they should have had that conversation with us. They should have gotten our buy-in on the reasons why this is going to be good for the community. The main reason is this is going to bring in a lot more players, giving a lot more access to this game. And access when it comes to MMOs is important because gamers function like electricity. Electricity operates off of a simple rule: the path of least resistance. That is where electricity goes, wherever it is the most efficient to get. And as much as a game can be described as fun and more, it has to separate itself. It has to stand out among the crowd. And when it comes to marketing behind that game, it's important to be open, honest, and communicative, because one pillar of MMOs in games as a service is trust. And Amazon is going to have to do a lot of work behind that to build that back up. I think it would have been much cheaper if they did it another way, but those were the decisions that were made. Hopefully those are lessons that they can pick up and learn from, but it isn't to say that I trust them, because I don't. I hope that they can win me back in that degree, because I do think this game is worth it. It's a fun experience. I do not regret spending money on it, but I do have to call out the piss poor decisions when it comes to marketing. And this brings me to the third reason why you should potentially skip this game. First and foremost, this is actually a positive for me, but I know that I'm not in the majority when it comes to this. Player trading, player-driven economies, sandbox design, those have their own downsides. Namely, this is going to always continue to invite bots and RMT into your game, and players will use RMT to pay and win. That in and of itself, the only cure for it is to fundamentally remove one of the most interesting aspects of MMORPGs, and it's the ability to trade with each other. This means that streamers, content creators, this means that friend groups will have a distinct advantage over solo players in some respects, in some pieces of content. And so that pressure will maybe be felt. Now, again, I think that if you take these systems away, that you end up lowering the quality of your game and experience, and you end up seeing kind of what we've seen with the likes of Blue Protocol and more, where games just don't resonate like they used to. It doesn't feel like it used to, because you remember the past with nostalgia and rose-tinted goggles, and you don't remember that, yes, you had to log into Final Fantasy XI, and you had to put in the time and effort to find a group. And yes, that led to some really great moments, but it also led to a lot of people just going and finding something else. Path of least resistance is a thing, and the competition out there is fierce. That isn't to say that you won't actually enjoy it. I would hope that you would give this game a try, especially when it comes to the player-driven economy, because I think that's something that adds a lot of value over the lifespan of the game. But it does require that the market needs to be watched. The bad actors that are trying to take advantage of that need to be looked at, and the balance within the market needs to be adjusted. But for me, it's a fun activity. I enjoy playing the role of a farmer, bringing things to the market, making money, and then using that money to, yes, get really kick-ass weapons and gear. That in and of itself means that everything that you're doing is progressing you towards your goals, sometimes more efficiently, sometimes less efficiently. And that also means that players are actually defining the value of the content as opposed to developers defining the value of the content, meaning developers don't have to artificially incentivize you to do something, because the market is doing that for them already, and the market is what's going to drive you to make those decisions as to what you want to do, how you want to have your fun, and what kind of path you want to take. But again, not everybody agrees with that. Not everybody likes that approach. And to them, I always say there's a lot of other games out there that will cater to that as well. New World hopefully will never become one of those. And if it does, you'll hear me rant about it here on the channel. I do want to say thank you so much, everybody who joined me for today's video. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you got something good out of it. I'd love to know what reasons why you want to check out the game, or what reasons why you would skip the game, so you can sound off in those. We could do a follow-up videos like we like to do in the videos that we make here on the channel. But now I think it's important that we transition into what I call the message of hope. This is where you and I kind of have a real discussion, a real talk. I want to encourage you to be the best person out there. One of the reasons, and one of the things I see as somebody who loves video games, is I do believe that video game addiction is a real thing, and we often can use video games as a replacement for insert kind of our life goals. The concern I have from, man to man is that there runs the risk that you might find yourself continually to invest in your own misery. That isn't to say playing video games makes you miserable. That isn't to say that you will become miserable, but it's to challenge you to find that right balance in your life. Now, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Comfort is the worst addiction that you can have." And one of the things that I think we're uniquely built for, that we're made for, is to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. That's where we end up finding a lot of joy. So whether a game delivers or doesn't deliver, whether something goes our way or doesn't go our way, the real point that I want to make to you guys is to push always towards those goals, to not give up on yourself. This is rooted in one simple word: belief. If you believe that you can, or if you believe that you can't, you're right. That is one of the key defining characteristics of people who succeed in life. It isn't to say that they haven't failed before. In fact, time and time again, the people that you know failed many, many times before they eventually hit that level of success that brings you into the forefront of your mind. Why are you thinking about that individual? Well, I would guarantee you that they have suffered, they have struggled, but they didn't give up on themselves. And I don't want you to give up on yourself or your dreams. Challenge yourself today to make one simple, easy change. I like to bring up 3 ideas for those out there struggling, especially if you're struggling with depression. That's something that I have in the past, and this is something that I found helpful. I do recommend therapy, not a weakness, but from a practical perspective, here are 3 things that you can kind of put into practice today. There's plenty more, but I'm just going to give you 3. Make your bed, brush your teeth, and take a shower. Those 3 things will give you wins early in the day, and those wins can lead to more wins. It's a snowball effect when it comes to getting things done. Also, for example, if you have ADHD, one of the things that you might, whether you're diagnosed or not, a lot of people with ADHD struggle and they think of themselves as less than, and that's not the case. They just think differently. They process differently. One of the things that helps, and I have friends and family that are ADHD, is called body doubling. So if you're struggling to get something done, whether it's a YouTube video or if it's somebody in your real life, you can have somebody around which will actually help keep you moving, will keep you moving towards that goal. So there are life hacks that we can do with ourselves, and I don't know if that's a good fun tip, but I know if those out there, they can feel like they're a failure. They feel like all these things. Why can't I do these things? And it's just that you can. It's just going to be different. It's not going to look like something that everybody else does in that case. And that's not to say you're bad or wrong. It's just, you are you, and you're beautiful, and you should love yourself, and you should give yourself that grace, and then you should find hacks that help you become, who you want to be. And that's what I wanted to say with you guys today, and hopefully you guys got something good out of today's message. I hope. I really do appreciate you. If you especially hung out to the end of this video, you are truly, thank you. You support me and my family by just your time and attention. And it really does help out. And I really do enjoy making these videos. But that's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. But until then, take care.